Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I'm Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
And today was our dreaded Anything Goes episode. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the title isn't a lie. Anything really did go this time. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some interesting choices.
yeah, most definitely. You know, I feel I feel like the wheel has really kind of brought us in a unique direction. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so before we talk about the ones that we chose for tonight, did either of you guys watch anything recently that you want to mention or talk about?
I saw Brandon Cronenberg's new one, Infinity Pool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
Haven't really been disappointed with either of Cronenberg's movies, so
Yeah. I remember liking his first movie, the Antiviral. Like, I remember thinking that one was pretty funny, actually.
it's the only one of his I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember really anything about it other than it was about people wanting to get diseases from their favorite like celebrities or whatever. And it's kind of a weird concept, but like I don't. It ended up being kind of, I don't know. To me, it was funny, but maybe that's because I have a weird sense of humor.
Yeah, I can see it being funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, so yeah, Infinity Pool. Like, I haven't watched it yet, but was it? I don't know. How was it overall? Like, was it well done? And
Yes.
like where does this rank on his sort of spectrum of films? I guess.
I'd probably put it at the top. I liked it more than Possessor.
Cool.
He only has the 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I haven't seen Antiviral, but
Yeah.
it's got Mia Goth in it. She's really good in everything she's been in so far.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She uses her actual accent, which is weird, though. Not an American accent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, usually I don't know. I mean I find his films pretty odd. Like Possessor, I felt pretty mixed about. Like I guess I just didn't really, I don't know. The whole body swapping thing, there were so many aspects of the way it was done in that movie that felt like unnecessarily complicated. And so I think I got really hung up on just the method that they were using and kind of how things ended up spiraling out of control. Like, as I was watching it, I could sort of see how it would go wrong because it seemed obvious, and then things did go wrong, and I was like, all right, yeah, of course. But I didn't really know. I didn't know if the film was aware of it, like if it was trying to say something smart, by doing that. Like, I don't know. It confused me. Maybe. But there were so many cool ideas too, like the part where he has to sit in the chair and basically like do the whole like data mining thing, where he's like flipping through all the pictures and is like describing like what color curtains they have or what kind of curtains they have or whatever, and then like next picture, and then he does the same thing and he's wearing that big helmet, but it's not really him, it's the Andrea Riseborough character possessing his body. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird, and then her character like kind of drove me nuts too, which I sort of expected because she always plays crazy characters, and that film Possessor definitely was no exception. But like there came a point where I was sort of like, all right, I mean, how can I even root for her anymore?
Yeah.
But I definitely want to see Infinity Pool. It looks interesting. So
Yeah. If it has a digital code, I can send it to you.
yeah, by all means. I'm trying to wait for like the uncut version to come out, because I guess like the one that's out right now is like edited or something. There's like the original director's cut version that like came out in Canada or whatever, but like I don't think it's been released yet, like on any sort of streaming thing. I think it's just the one that came out here, which
Hmm.
apparently like there's not really that much of a difference, but I don't know. I'm such a purist, and it's like it might end up being the type of movie I only want to watch once, so I'd rather just watch it in its most full version. But
Yeah.
I don't know. If it doesn't become available, then I'll just watch it. However, so, yeah, it annoys me that we still have to deal with that kind of stuff these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mainly because like I thought the makeup effects in Possessor were actually really interesting. So it's like, yeah. I rewatched Lords of Salem, the Rob Zombie movie, and I liked it a lot more than I did the first time I watched it. I actually found it like a lot more entertaining. Maybe it's because I knew kind of how cryptic and kind of dumb it was going to be, like beforehand, because I'd already seen it.
Yeah. I don't remember much about it other than I hated it.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
I mean it's definitely not good at all, but I I don't know, for something about it this time around, like I ended up really loving it. So
Nice.
Haven't seen it.
yeah, I don't know. I just something about it captivates me. It really doesn't have a good plot at all. It doesn't even have a story, to be honest. It's kind of just Sherry Moon it listens to music and then goes crazy. Like I don't know. It's like basically that. There's obviously more to it than that, but that's sort of the main sort of thing that happens throughout. But I just got into the mood of it this time. So
Okay. I haven't really seen much myself. The only thing I really started was Jury Duty, I think it's called. It's like this
okay,
new like reality-ish show. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like on Freeverse, I think. It's like you can watch it on Amazon with commercials.
okay,
Um it's a show, like a kind of reality show, but it's like a fake trial with a fake jury except for one guy.
nice.
Um and there it's like a mockumentary documentary thing, and all the other jury members, everyone involved except for this one jury member is like actors. Like they even have James Marsden playing like a puffed up version, a comical version of himself.
That's
And
cool.
it's so because it takes place in LA as well. So he's like at first trying to get out of jury duty by saying things like, "Yeah, I'm a public figure, so I don't think I should be here and stuff." And then he tries to get like paparazzi to come in and disrupt the trial, saying, "Yep, see, this is what what's gonna happen." And then, so I've only seen the first two episodes, but they're pretty funny. And like the guy they got to be the mark or whatever is pretty. He's like smart, but also completely fairly socially unaware. Like,
Okay, that's
so they got a
interesting.
pretty good mark as well. But only two episodes in, and I'd like to finish it. It's very, very like Nathan For You ish, where it's completely absurd in its reality concept.
Yeah,
But
Hmm.
excellent.
That sounds interesting.
yeah, hopefully it holds up.
Yeah, I do like the idea of that, of being on a jury duty and having to sort of be the person, like the naysayer or whatever, like that's kind of
Mhm.
an intense, like I don't know, I can't like picturing myself in that kind of situation is scary. you know
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess
Hold-
let's. Oh yeah.
One sec. Before you get started, I'm gonna hardwire. I'm getting a little bit of lag here.
Oh yeah. No worries.
All right.
Be right back. One sec.
Yeah, go for it. What time is it? 8. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I just remembered there's that Dead Ringers TV series that's out.
Oh yeah. You started that?
Not yet. I've heard about it, but I'm kind of curious about that one. The fact that it's like I don't know the Rachel Wise. I mean, that's an interesting acting choice, or
Hmm.
casting choice. So,
Yeah. I also started that Beef, that A24 show on Netflix.
oh yeah,
That's pretty
is it?
good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am curious to check that one out. Definitely. So,
Yeah. Steven Yen's pretty good in everything he's in, so
yeah, that's
it's really
fair.
good.
All right, all right. Yeah, I'll have to watch that one. I mean, I was planning on watching that one at some point anyway. So once I get back into Netflix.
Hell yeah.
All right, should be good now. Hopefully.
Cool. All right. All right. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, so I guess yeah, we'll go ahead and dive into these films now that we chose for our anything goes our anything goes Wheel of Death choice, quote unquote. So the one I chose is a film from 1986, In the Shadow of Kilimanjaro. Um, which the reason I chose this one was because, well, first of all, like I love the poster,
It's a pretty
and
good
then
poster.
yeah, the poster is pretty scary. Um, and then the idea of it, the plot concept about like a mob of killer baboons attacking a village,
Hmm.
in a drought. That's a creepy idea to me. And so I could picture an actual like kind of scary film being made out of it, or at least one that might be sort of like interesting.
And it could fit into next week's episode too.
It could
Yeah.
have, yeah, it could have, but in, yeah, I just figured I would give it a chance,
Also, I
because
guess based on a real event, kind of.
yeah, apparently it's based on a real event. I didn't look up. I didn't do any research. I didn't look up this movie at all. Maybe I should have, but apparently this is based on a true story. Which even if it isn't based on a true story, I could totally picture something like this happening. Because baboons are pretty smart animals. And really monkeys, like, they can be deadlier than we realize. I mean, we often forget. And so yeah, so I thought that this was going to be kind of I thought this could be interesting. And so the film stars, what's his name, stars Timothy Bottoms. I'm not even meaning to go on a Timothy Bottoms kick, because like we watched the Far Away Land movie or whatever, where he was in it playing George Bush. And then we watched, or no, you guys didn't watch. I watched the prison escape movie that he was in where he dressed up like a woman, and it wasn't convincing at all, but he did it
All
and
right.
somehow managed to escape. And now three, the third one, and of course this is the one that he ends up appearing nude in. So and Jonathan Rhys Davies from Lord of the Rings is in this too, and Indiana Jones and all them. And he plays he plays a character named Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
I was like confused because sometimes they just called him Tucker and sometimes they're calling him Chris. I'm like, is his name Chris Tucker? Okay, all right.
Yeah. And then Timothy Bottoms' character, I forget what his name is. It's like some hippie name, like
Jack Ringtree.
yeah. I knew there was tree.
Okay. All I remembered was Jack, but yeah.
Yeah,
fine.
Jack Ringtree. So he's like a, what do you call it? Like a conservationist, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word.
Like
Or
a park
I guess,
ranger or some type
yeah,
of.
yeah, maybe more of a preservationist. And he's in Kenya, in sort of a remote town or village, I guess it is. Very remote too. Like they're pretty much in the middle of nowhere, it seems. And let's see, he's there, he's dealing with his animal stuff there. Like at the beginning he's like dealing with I think it was a rhino. And let's see, meanwhile Jonathan Rhys Davis he's like in charge of like a factory, which I like right at the beginning of the movie he's like working like he's like already sort of late on a deadline or something, or is like behind schedule, one of those kinds of things. Like he's complaining, oh, we gotta move faster, all this stuff. And then of course the machine malfunctions due to the heat. It literally overheats. So yeah, so basically we're in a village in Kenya that hasn't been getting any rain. And
Yeah, that's the main thing. Is there's a big drought happening.
yeah, which is affecting everybody, of course. And then meanwhile, we're dealing with disappearances. We're dealing with eaten leftover bodies being found. A lot of procrastination ends up happening, of course, which I suppose is kind of par for the course. I mean, because like once Timothy Bottom starts blowing the whistle on this stuff, everybody, including the Rhys Davis, well, not so much the Rhys Davis character eventually, but generally speaking, everybody kind of shrugs it off like, okay, yeah, baboons, sure, but we also deal with lions, we deal with like other stuff. So everybody kind of, shrugs it off a little bit, which I guess
I
this movie
mean,
kind of oh yeah.
I was just saying, yeah, they were like just saying, yeah, this happens in this part of the world. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably not just baboons that are, doing this kind of stuff, to be honest, at while all this is happening. But
Yeah, they mentioned like lions do stuff around there too and everything, but
yeah. But regardless, Timothy Bottoms is concerned about the what's his name? Ringtree?
Jack.
Johnny Ringtree. Jack Ringtree is concerned about this situation in particular because he's talking about approximately 90,000 baboons, which I guess he's as a preservationist, he would know those numbers better than anybody. So in a way, this movie could actually be kind of classified as like an what is it, eco thriller? Those
Yeah.
yeah, that are about like like the dangers of Mother Nature. Like
Yeah.
because because you could also sort of apply that to how like people ignore like climate disaster as well. Like, oh yeah, this shit happens all the time, don't you know, we're in a cycle and all this stuff. Like I could sort of see like how like parallels could be drawn like in that case as well with that argument. And so yeah, I kind of dig the movie's ambition. As the biggest problem with the film, I would say, is it is a rather plotting. Like, it takes a good hour for the real good stuff to happen ultimately.
Hmm.
Up to that point, we get kind of brief glimpses of like the baboons eating people. And the brief parts we get, like there is one scary part where this one guy gets chased up by like a pole, and then like he gets his leg ripped off and all this stuff. And
Yeah, I was
yeah,
surprised too because like Jack said, baboons are stronger than humans, which I mean makes sense because I guess a lot of monkeys are or
yeah,
primates, even though they're tiny.
yeah,
They have like little muscles and shit, but I guess I don't know, the muscles are built differently. But I can
yeah.
hear, yeah, you hear like, Joe Rogan talking about chimpanzees ripping nuts off and shit. So it's like,
Oh my
God
gosh.
damn.
Yeah, they could do that stuff.
And they're
They could.
smaller than humans, they're smaller than most humans, but
Yeah. I mean, baboons are really fascinating because they're absolutely adorable, but like when you look at an angry baboon, it's like looking at the devil himself. Like
yeah, real
it,
creepy.
yeah. Um, and so like for me, one thing I will give this movie some like heavy like credit for is the actual baboon footage. Um, some of the shots of the baboons like running towards the camera down the
Hell
hills and
yeah, I
stuff.
loved that stuff. It looks so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that stuff was really creepy and terrifying.
Yeah, like when there was that one scene where there was like the guy got a flat tire or something. One of the guys got a flat tire, and they're just all along this mountainside, just looking at him. Then they
Yeah.
just start jumping down the mountain, chasing him down. That
Oh
was
yeah.
pretty sweet looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought the actual animal attack scenes in this movie were pretty savage.
Yeah.
There weren't too many of them, but the ones that were in it were pretty gnarly. I thought like um mainly because of how fast it is. Like it's edited so fast that it really does feel like you know like you almost feel like the character who's getting jumped on by all these baboons and doesn't know like what the hell's happening. Like they're just very disorienting the way that they're shot and edited. But I didn't feel like the film really I didn't feel like a whole lot of momentum really picked up until the part with the airplane. Um that was my favorite scene, I would have to say, actually.
Really,
Yeah,
I
that was
laughed at that one.
oh, it was hilarious, but it
Monkey
was
on a
also
plane.
yeah. It was like one of those scenes that was both hilarious and also horrifying. Like because like it was just insane the way it all went down
I
and
was like,
just
"There's
how
no like when it first started and they kind of hinted. I was like, there's no way a random monkey's gonna be on this plane."
yeah,
But nope, there was.
yeah, and like it was so ludicrous, but the way it was shot was really like actually really well done because it was pretty claustrophobic. Like
Yeah.
like all these different close-ups of like the inside of the plane while everything's moving outside and stuff. Like that was really good. Yeah, like basically the last 20 minutes or 25 minutes of the film, it turns into like another like Night of the Living Dead or what's a better example? Like like a siege movie where people like Assault on Precinct 13 or like From Dusk Till Dawn or something where like the
Yeah.
characters are in a small space having to fight monsters on the outside or some kind of threat on the outside. Like this movie sort of turns into that once like the baboons really grow in size, and by that point the Jack tree ring tree and Chris Tucker, they've teamed up by that point. They basically reached some kind of consensus, even though they seem to be diametrically opposed a lot of the time.
I mean, I
Um
like the Chris dude. He was probably my favorite character in this movie just because
yeah,
he
he ended up
was
being my favorite.
headstrong, wanting to get his shit done, but also, he seemed to be friendly and towards Jack, but also wanting to get his way and everything. They had a love-hate relationship kind of thing. They were like good pals, but also opposed to each other completely.
I love those kinds of friendships in films, like where, yeah, like the two characters don't see eye to eye, but they put their crap aside and work together. Like, I thought this movie had a little bit of that kind of thing going for it, which is cool. I would have preferred the film to have been more fast paced and
Mhm.
maybe not like I could have done with the fake out death too. Like,
Mhm.
you know, they pull the Chewbacca from Rise of Skywalker, where uh what's his name, ring tree, he like is in the space with the supplies and whatnot, and of course the baboons attack the place and swarm it, and Chris Tucker goes over and checks it out. It's like, oh no, and sees the monkeys eating stuff, which of course, like, I mean, throughout the course of the film they're constantly chomping on body parts and stuff, and so he sees that and drives away and basically tells everybody in the village they got him, you know. And then the next scene, he crawls out of a crawl space.
Yeah, meat freezer. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it was
that
a
pissed me
supply
off.
truck that had a meat freezer in it,
Yeah,
and like yeah, one of the, I don't know, she's like the bartender of the town. She said, "Oh yeah, that supply truck. We needed that meat from the meat freezer." And Chris was like, "Meat freezer? Oh my god, he's
yeah,
alive!" And then just goes back to save him.
yeah. I wanted him to die. Like that one, when like that whole thing happened where he drove away and stuff and assumed he was dead. Like, to me, it's like, yeah, dude, like he could have been dead, and it would have been awesome. Like, I think it would have been even cooler if we saw the monkeys chomping on his body parts, but unfortunately we didn't get that. But we came close.
And they're pretty nice to him because like as he because he they were still in that truck while he climbed out of the freezer. I would have
Yeah,
been, if I was him, I would have just waited till they bounced. But he like opened a can of corn and fed them and then distracted them with the can of corn and
yeah.
then walked out.
He's Dr. Doolittle. He
Yeah.
manages to just get along with animals somehow, you
Yeah.
know. Um, let's see. But one thing, yeah, I mean, one thing that was cool was how, like, throughout the course of the film, all the characters basically just start getting, yeah, I mean, all the characters start disappearing, and then you have to deal with the two main characters. I mean, there was like that part where like that woman's husband goes missing, which of course we see what happens to him, and then ends up, I think, being the one on the plane that gets killed too.
Yep.
But yeah, at the end of the film, they're basically in like some kind of, is it this? It's not the school. They leave the school
No, it
and
was the
go
bar.
the bar. That's it. Which, it seemed like a pretty huge bar, so it made sense. Um, there was that whole part where they find the actually, it was one scene that made me gasp, was when they find the corpse of that guy whose face was eaten off. Like, that was pretty
Yep.
shocking. Um,
And they like say like to Chris Tucker says, "Burn it down," and the guy says, "What about the people inside? There's nobody inside."
yeah.
And they just torch the shed down with a bunch of monkeys in it.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Yeah, I mean, there is a part where they're shooting some monkeys. Although according to the credits, no animals were actually harmed. So,
Yep.
um, so yeah, basically at the end, they basically just have to like do the best they can to not get eaten. The teacher gets eaten. I remember that. She
Hmm.
ends up wandering off by herself. She falls into that old horror movie trap where they wander off by themselves and get killed. It's like you got this person trying to teach an entire village, can't even survive against a bunch of baboons. And no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But
she did it because there was one kid missing that she did find, and I don't know if they really showed what happened to the kid, but I assume he got away.
I'm guessing, yeah, because at first he, at the beginning he's missing. They assume he was taken, but that's left a mystery. I don't know. Uh, I get the sense that this film sort of only wanted to focus on one story. Unfortunately, and it ended up being the part of the story that we've seen in a million other movies done better, like Jaws and stuff like that, where you have people having to sort of oppose a situation involving an out of control animal plight. And then eventually, due to extreme circumstances, they end up having to pair together. This movie basically kind of follows that formula. But, eventually they do reach a point of desperation where the monkeys start coming in and stuff. But then eventually it does rain, so that kind of solves everything. And then the movie kind of makes another statement immediately after that, where it's raining for less than 5 minutes, and John Rhys Davis is like, "Oh gosh, I'm over. I got to get back to work." Like, dude just saved an entire village from baboons, and he still has to go back to work.
Yeah.
All bloodied up and shit too.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a happy ending.
Yeah.
What can I say? I mean, it was well shot. I think this could do with a restoration. Honestly, I'm not into watching the crappy cropped. Was it Laserdisc? I'm assuming. I'm not sure exactly what
Probably.
the quality. Yeah. I think the film had it looked like it looked better than it actually did, but maybe I'm just spoiled by the modern age and how all the shittiest movies are getting restored. Anyway, I don't know. Interesting, kind of sleazy 80s movie. I think the concept was more interesting than the film itself. The concept is pretty creepy, and I dug the overall atmosphere of it. I just kind of wish that it had like, I mean, the shots of the baboons descending from the hills and attacking the villagers and stuff were pretty scary, but I kind of wish this film had even more of it. I feel like it didn't have enough.
Yeah.
And maybe I should just be thankful that we got any at all, because I can't imagine baboons would be easy to work with.
Especially that amount.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would say what this film does well, it does really well. But it ends up sort of, that ends up kind of being the sum of its parts, so I guess it depends on how much you can appreciate it, because otherwise it really, I don't know, I didn't find it as scary as it could have been. The airplane scene was pretty intense. There were some suspenseful bits here and there. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say this movie needs a remake or anything, but I wouldn't say no to one.
Should remake it with Chris Tucker playing Chris Tucker.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if they have to use CGI baboons, I understand. But if they're going to do it, I just hope they look good, like.
Or maybe trained baboons. I don't know.
Yeah,
because
or
I guess
yeah.
because in the credits they said that the baboons used were actually just relocated baboons that were terrorizing neighboring villages.
No, oh my gosh. This movie's basically a documentary. This is our first documentary we've watched on this show. In the Shadow of Kilimanjaro. What do you think of that?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think of it overall? Like, you could share your thoughts.
It was okay. To me, the poster made it seem like it was going to be a lot more schlocky, which I think could have benefited this movie a lot if it was more schlocky. But
I thought it was gonna be schlocky with because right at the beginning you have all this stuff, and then you got a sex scene and all these things. Like,
I was gonna mention that in mine. There's because his wife comes to visit. She's out in California, and then he comes in with a bouquet of flowers and then just strips down. They don't say a word to each other at all. Like, no, hey, oh, I miss it. How's it going? He just strips down and they start boning. And then they cut to them fighting, saying they want a divorce. Because you should just come home. It's lame out here. And then in the end, too, like after everything went down, I couldn't really make out what they were saying with what they were watching, but it was like, oh, California isn't so bad. And there was also that little monkey that they were bringing back, that they implied they would bring back to kill Goldie. which he had a little arc where he went missing.
Yeah.
And they had a lady trip and fall and almost die, of course, running from baboons. But it
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was
yeah, we could go to California. I bet Goldie would like it. And he was like, I couldn't make it out, but he was like, yeah, but here's not so bad. And she was like, yeah, I could stay a little longer. So I was like, what kind of conversation was this? I don't get it.
That's fun.
Like I was, because it was hard to hear, like the audio wasn't great for that. And I was like, are they saying they want to go back to California or stay here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But Zach, what I don't know. You've been to California. Do you think those people could make it there?
Maybe like Northern California.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with you about it. Like I did expect it to be schlockier for sure. So
Yeah, and then I don't know if it was just the version we watched on YouTube, but it felt very like made for TV movie.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that might have been just the quality. Like I feel like the location seemed pretty well shot. But you didn't see much of it. So my guess is
Shot in Kenya on location.
yeah, like, and I believe it. I think the cropping sort of made it feel a lot more condensed, like it was in, like, one thing I've noticed about some like movies is that uh like I mean we all grew up watching VHS tapes where the image was cropped and the sides were cut off and all that stuff. But some movies honestly like that, like cropping it makes it almost feel more like a stage play than a film. And so like maybe this is a case where the photography is like actually probably pretty decent, but it's hard to tell because we don't really see much of the locations. We mostly just see close-ups of Jonathan Rhys Davis's face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was surprised with Timothy Bottom's interaction with animals. I was like, does he have some type of background with animals? Because he was like holding, like fucking around with that little monkey, like it was like he knew how to handle him. He did like that eyedropper with the rhino in the beginning, and then what I
Yeah.
was confused, like kind of shocked by, is like there was this little scene where he was showing his wife the little reservation he had, and they pulled out a cheetah, like pretty, like like he knew what he was doing. He was grabbing it, and then it was like kind of like jumping. I would be like, does he actually have a background with animal like husbandry or whatever? Like he was not like, I don't know. It was like it was a pretty aggressive cheetah for like not like attacking, but like definitely jumping on him and like pawing him down and stuff. I was like, oh
Yeah. I don't know what his deal is. He's been in a million things. I know that he was like he I don't know. I'm sure that we've seen him probably in something else on this show and haven't real and like don't realize it or something. Like he's like one of those kinds of actors who's like who for whatever reason his filmography is really bulky, but it's mostly stuff that like a lot of people have seen but might not have recognized him in.
and I heard his name earlier, like I don't know, I was watching, it may have been a Red Letter Media or something. They're making fun of his name, Timothy Bottoms, or something like
Oh yeah.
that. Some type of like YouTube comedy thing that they were making fun of his name.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in some pretty bad movies. I bet he's been in at least a couple things they've watched, more than likely. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I was impressed by his animal handling though in this film. Like, it did come across as authentic. So, like, I would say this was a better performance than his performance in the Prison Escape movie. I just wish that he had gotten killed in this one. That's the main thing. Because like I'm tired of seeing him survive all these movies. I want to see him get his comeuppance for once.
Yeah. I was glad Chris Tucker lived though. Because I liked his character. He was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a cool character. You always got to have characters like that in these types of movies. This movie actually kind of reminded me of that Val Kilmer movie. the dark Ghost in the Darkness with the lion, like, or with the two lions, like, yeah, from the 90s.
Haven't seen that one.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like this and that are very similar. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a feeling the making of this movie was probably very interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure the actual process of like putting this film together and shooting it and dealing with the baboons and stuff, like I feel like there's probably a better movie in that. Like
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
Heart of Darkness type film about this movie.
yeah, yeah, that would be badass. That I would see.
And I got a little of that kind of vibe from like that that there's that like lawyer or judge he was like just all dressed in white being an asshole talking about like war and putting people to death and shit, and he was like just drunk in the bar often.
Yeah, yeah, I like that character. I thought that there was some cool little like outdoor shots that reminded me a little bit of like Apocalypse Now here and there. You know, maybe there was a little bit of Coppola inspiration. But, I mean, I'm not gonna like ponder it too much, but you never know. But I definitely got some of those vibes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also kind of got those vibes like when I saw that Anaconda movie with John Voight or whatever and Ice Cube. You remember that one?
Yeah.
J Lo is in it, right?
Yeah, J Lo's in it. Yeah, that one kind of reminds me a little bit of Apocalypse Now as well. Yeah, I mean, you know, I always enjoy these kind of fun little adventures. I mean, not. I guess this isn't really an adventure, but it's a silly movie. You know, I liked it. So I'd watch it again. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to movies about monkeys. So this movie succeeded my monkey quota. So I think I'd give it a solid 3. Like it won my heart.
I think I'd go 2, I guess. Maybe 2.5. Because yeah, it was real boring for most of it, but I liked all the cool monkey shots of them running around, chasing people too. Like, I wonder how they did that stuff. Like the one with the girl. Like there was a couple of like slow-mo chase scenes, and the monkeys following. I'm like, how did they stop them from just jumping over the actors and shit after they ended rolled cut? So that was cool shots, and I liked.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I liked the minor dude, the Chris Tucker. He was cool as a
Yeah.
character. And yeah, the third act was nice and action packed.
Yeah, I'd give it a 2.5 as well. Pretty much same reasons. Third act was good. Monkey shots were good.
Yeah. Yeah. I yeah, I'm glad I finally saw this film. I do wish it had been scarier. I do wish it had maybe, you know, been a little bit more, you know, out there, but I guess overall I'm pleased. I had a good time. So
And Rain saved the day.
yeah, exactly. Which that was kind of a beautifully shot scene, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, I, we didn't get like at that point in the movie, like we were mostly just kind of like in the interiors, so seeing the light come out and all that stuff was kind of nice. So I guess now we're gonna talk about the film that you chose, Nick.
All right. I chose for your eyes only. Y apostrophe you are eyes only.
Your
Which I
height.
Your
don't
height.
your height only, yes. Yeah, shit. Oops. Your height only. So it's like a James Bond, if you couldn't tell by the name, a James Bond like spoof with that little guy that's somewhat at least known. Wang
Mhm.
Wang. I don't know
Yeah.
it's not that's not his real name, but that's what they go by in a lot of his movies, Wang Wang. And even in this movie, like besides being called just Double O, they call him Wang.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I don't know, a little person. I don't know what the correct term is these days. A little person,
Little person. Yeah.
yeah, little person, secret agent.
Yeah.
And the plot's fairly straightforward as far as like secret agent. There's not a lot, like sometimes James Bond movies, in my opinion, can get a little convoluted and confusing
I
for
agree.
not completely paying attention. But this one was fairly straightforward. That because it was a lot. It was comedy as well, like an action comedy. Um,
Yeah, it was shot in the Philippines.
Yep, it's a Philippine-made released movie. I guess he's like their biggest star that's ever come out of there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's a fairly basic James Bond plot. Bad guy wants to destroy the world with a bomb.
Yeah, pretty much. You get it in like little chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole movie is kind of it's very, very episodic. Like it almost feels like serials, like you get like 5 minutes where you get a little bit of plot and then an action scene, a little bit more plot, action scene, a little bit more plot, action scene,
Yeah, and
like
there's
this
some
movie's.
hard cuts too.
Oh yeah, you can tell that this film was edited very, very quickly, and some of the editing is a little bit confusing and disorienting.
Yeah, for sure. Like they would, he would, escape a fight or a compound that he just took over or whatever, and then it would just be the next morning him doing some random other shit.
Yeah.
Like you don't really see him leaving. There's no like car chases because I don't think he can drive. Like he can barely. I don't think his head goes up. Up. He's 2'9", so I don't think his head even gets past the door. Um, but some of
Yeah.
the action scenes were at least kind of funny because of his height. It was and not bad either. He was like using his height to his advantage. Most of the fights were nut kicks.
Yeah.
Him just him kicking in the nuts, and then when they were on the ground, he would just punch their face a bunch of times.
Yeah, he'd whoop their ass, literally whoop their ass. Like,
Yeah, and like he's like there was one funny just he would like crawl over people and shit and just do like this little funny fight scenes and shit.
yeah,
Like
he'd like
hide.
hide under bushes. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing. He just hides and then like jumps on top of people.
or
Yeah.
just hide in a little crevice and then pop out, kick him in the nuts,
Yeah.
go back
Yeah.
in. The next guy comes out, kick him in the nuts.
It's crazy. It's like he can teleport.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was one like where he like was trying to wrestle a gun out of a guy's hand, and then the guy just picked him up and chucked him over his back, and like he just
Yeah.
landed and started beating the crap out of him. So
Yeah.
they use his height for some pretty funny fight scenes, pretty
Definitely.
effectively.
Yeah. Like I was I was a little bit worried when I started watching this movie that this was only because like I don't know, a lot of old movies like tend to not be super easy to watch when it comes to depictions of people who are like little people. And so I was worried that this was going to have like just a lot of scenes of him getting beaten up and thrown around and thrown through windows and stuff like that. And so I wasn't really, I was kind of like, out of the three films that we watched for this episode, this is the one I felt kind of most tentative to watch. But it ended up actually not really having much of that at all. Like it happens a few times, but for the most part, it's actually more about him doing really clever things, with his height. Like
Yeah,
totally using it to his advantage. Like you said, it's not really as much of a punchline, I guess. Like
sometimes it was, but
sometimes, yeah. Like mostly because of the dubbing, I feel like. Um,
I think I read that like the actual Filipino audio track was lost even.
yeah. That's kind of a bummer because this seems to be like a comedy dub, or I mean, maybe that was like the way they sold it and marketed it, but like you kind of get the sense that the people doing the dubbing, which actually that's sort of something that our next movie has in common too. Um, that the people who did the dubbing were kind of like playing up the humor more,
Yeah.
you know, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It can be done really well, actually. And it was actually like not badly done here, but I don't know. Part of me kind of wishes that they sort of just let like the action scenes themselves be, because I thought the action scenes themselves were pretty funny too,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly.
Like there was one where he was just beating people up under a table.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what was that? Huh? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
He just kept
that
kicking
was
him under the
great.
table and shit.
Yeah. Um, it is kind of repetitive,
Yeah,
like after
very
a
much so.
while, it's kind of like, all right, this is all we're gonna get, I guess. you
Mhm.
know um but yeah, I mean, the title, it is For Your Height Only, so
Mhm. So
of
yeah,
course, yeah.
the plot is in the very well. There was one funny, like one of the like first, his first appearance on camera was funny. He was like, there are these two guys walking out, and then they make a turn, and then he's just right behind them. It's just like
Yeah,
just pops out right behind two dudes. It's just like okay,
yeah. He can pop out of anything. It's
yeah.
crazy.
But the movie basically revolves around the bad guy. His name is Dr. Giant. You know, he kidnaps some type of like doctor, I guess, but like a not neuro science doctor. I don't know. He made this. It's funny. So it's like a bomb, but it's called an N bomb.
Yeah, they say that quite a few times in this movie too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we're gonna drop the N bomb.
yeah. So I wonder if that was a dub thing they made up.
Maybe.
But it was like, yeah, they wanted to, as typical James Bondish things go, it's fairly standard. He wants to destroy the world with nuclear. I'm assuming it was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
So it's basically a mission. His mission is to save him and stop Dr. Giant. He meets up with this girl that I guess is also has some type of secret agent skills. Irma, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of his love interest. Like it was the big Bond girl of this movie.
Yeah. He actually does get along pretty well too. Like he does I mean, he does all the same stuff that James Bond does.
Yeah, yeah. Like there was a shot with him on like by the side of the pool when he was getting his first mission, where he's just laying around with three bikini ladies on the pool.
That was funny.
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's kind of like a James Bond movie, but without all the plot. It's
yeah,
just, yeah, it's basically just like the highlight
yeah,
version of like You Only Live Twice or The Living Daylights or something. Yeah.
yeah. So it basically goes back to it's basically like the plot structure or the whole structure is them looking to infiltrate the mob boss to try and find out where this dude is, fight scene, and then trying to find out, go to another location to try and find out more info, fight
Yeah.
scene. There was one phone call early on that thought was hilarious. It was just with the editing and stuff. I don't know what the hell it was, but like the whole conversation was he called up and said, "Listen, this is important. Interest," and then it goes to her, "Interesting." And then it goes back to him, "Check it out." And then it goes back to her, "I'll go right now." "Meet you there." I was like, what? There was no information given to us. It's like they skipped out on like what the information he was relaying was. I was like, and it was just fucking cut weird. There was a weird
Yeah.
cut where she was getting shot at real early on, but like he runs up and tries to like do a little savior push, but it like cuts. I don't know if it was like a glitch in the video but I think it may have just been a cut because like it would look goofy as hell for a 2'9" dude to push a lady out of the way. So like kind of just cuts to them real hard, just 2 feet over. It's just so strange.
Yeah.
So they go to a hotel, find one of the mob bosses. He does a little he sneaks in by crawling under her legs. Then one of the reoccurring action moves he does is just sliding on the floor shooting people.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
He does, and he like in that one he like slides into like I don't know if it was on purpose, but they wrote it in as like ow my little head after he bumps his head on the wall.
Yeah.
That was funny shit.
Yeah. And then like at another point, doesn't she like she says something about him being little? It was weird. Like
Yeah, he
you're
calls him Euro. Like there's one part where she's like, I don't know what they were talking about, not necessarily, but she calls him your little Wang or my little Wang.
there's that, and then also doesn't she call him like a tomato or
What I know what you're talking. It was
or a potato. She says like you're little like a potato or something. Or let's see how little you are or so. Like I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said something about it. She compared him to a potato.
yeah.
It was just like odd lines like that. This is such a strange film.
Yeah. So that lady, she's the Bond girl is tasked to infiltrate the bad guys syndicate. And then there's of course gadgets. We get a little gadget
Yeah.
scene. He gets so his gadgets is like this necklace, a communication necklace between him and her. He has a ring that detects if things are poisonous, which just happens once.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, because he the only way it shows up once, he goes to a random bar, gets a drink with this lady that she like lights a lighter and like puts it over his drink while he's
That
looking
was
away.
so dumb. Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? And then his ring goes off as he, is about to drink it. And then he has a special made little gun that comes into play later. Because
Yeah.
like he tries to like there's a scene where he tries to shoot a regular sized gun, but he just gets blown backwards. Like
Yeah.
so he just whips out his little gun and mows down everyone.
Yeah. And it makes a tinier noise. Like a noisy. Yeah.
Yeah. He has an odd job hat,
Yeah.
but this
Oh,
one's remote controlled.
yes. Yes. They do an odd job reference, which was fun.
Yeah, it's funny because odd job was like a little person, I think, too.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's one thing that nobody's ever going to forget about GoldenEye 007 is on Nintendo 64 playing as Odd Job so that everybody
Fucking such a
misses.
hacker, such bullshit. Got to ban him.
For real. Yeah.
Unfair advantage.
Yeah. Force them to play as Jaws for that one.
Right.
Yeah. Make you more of a target.
He gets a pen, which when he's introduced to it, this is a pen. They don't really say what it does, but it turns out to like be a blow dart gun. He says, "Here's a pen.
Yeah.
It's a weapon." Next, he gets a utility belt.
Yeah. Oh, and he also gets his X-ray specs.
Yep. They just and again, it's like he gives them sunglasses, and here's some sunglasses. These are cool. And they don't say what it is until like he's walking out the door. He takes a turn around. There's some secretaries, and he puts them on and sees them nude, and he's like, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, and all these gadgets too. They all get introduced in like a 5-minute long monologue that just takes place in like some office somewhere. Like the gadget guy's like, "Step into my office. Let me show you what you get."
Yep. So there's after he gets his gadgets, he goes to like this drug place where they're doing drug like manufacturing and selling, and ends in an action scene. He's always led to these places by the girl. She does the necklace and then puts like a tracking beacon so he knows where they are.
Yeah.
So this happens like 4 or 5 times over and over. It's basically the same scene. There's a little subplot where they need gold for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, what was up with that? I wasn't sure. Yeah,
they need gold.
Yeah.
So
maybe that was like a preview for the next movie.
Yeah, I don't know. But he shows up, saves the gold guy because he was being held hostage, like the mine owner or whatever.
Right. Okay. And then there was also like at some point doesn't he I remember there was some part where he has to wear the glasses
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, it happens sometime in one of these things. It's like he goes, like they're catching on to him or something, and he goes
yeah,
back to his room and sees it's all ransacked, but it's covered in curtains like all around his room. So he puts
yeah,
on the X-ray glasses and sees through the curtains and sees a bunch of naked dudes, which had clothes on, but like the X-ray glasses went through them and they were all hiding behind stuff. And then he just pops them.
yeah. Yeah, I mean the whole like last part of this movie is just him and her just massacring everybody. So
Yeah. I think that's when he also is, I don't know, a few more fight. Let's see. There's a few fight scenes where he's in a hotel as well.
yeah.
Uh, and he sneaks, like he's running away. He goes into this lady's room. Um, and then he's like, shh, shh, and then he goes out back out to grab like an umbrella gun that somebody had. Because he's way up in these high
Yeah.
rise apartments, and then he, like, before he leaves, he goes and makes out with her, and then says bye.
Yeah.
And then he jumps out. He uses like the umbrella as a parachute to jump down.
Yeah, that was great, you know.
Yeah.
Um and the effect was a little I mean it looked kind of like they were using a miniature, but of course that's what they got to do.
Hmm.
um let's see, he gets a sex scene.
And I will
uh
say, for as something that body shaving maybe, but for as tiny he is, his nipples are huge.
yeah, yeah, D cup nipples, not D cup boobs but
Right?
D cup nipples. That's what my friend would have said.
He does. Yeah,
uh
he gets a sex. I think it was with Irma or the Bond lady or whatever. I think it was with
yeah,
her.
I think so, yeah. um let's see, and then but I mean he sleeps with probably about five different women throughout the course of this movie, really, but yeah, he only gets one sex scene.
Yeah.
um let's see, it does take a bit of a tragic turn at the end, I guess, or near the end, so.
Yeah, they figure out that she's the rat of the organization.
Right.
Um, so they capture her to lure Double O. He's just Double O, no other names, just Double O, or just they call him Wang. Either way.
Yeah,
Um,
they do have a variation on the James Bond theme, like it's
yeah,
their version, but it's kind of similar.
and it's just like, and it plays throughout, just a little stinger of like 5 seconds maybe, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
A
It
lot of
kind of got
the
annoying after a while.
It
Oh yeah.
did.
I would say a lot of the music was repetitive, got
Mhm.
annoying.
Yeah, and then it was
Yeah.
this had like funky. Was this the one with funky jazz, or was it the next movie that had a bunch of funky? No, it was the next movie that had the jazz shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Although
yeah.
this movie did have one scene, because one of the things I love about the editing of this movie is that it always keeps you guessing. You don't know what kind of scenario you're going to get flung into next. Like the characters will be talking, and then the next second they'll be disco dancing. Like that
Yeah,
literally happens at one point.
yeah. They went to discos like twice in the movie.
Yeah. So we get some dance scenes with him. He actually has quite a presence.
Yeah.
Like he actually, like, I could see him being like a really intense action hero, but like the dubbing sort of makes him into like a comic character. Like the dubbing makes him sound kind of goofy, because whoever did the dubbing gave him like this sort of squeaky, high pitched type of voice that was
Hmm.
like, I mean, not like squeaky, but like, oh, just yeah,
Yep. So they lure him in with the lady's necklace because they want to capture him, and they do capture him for a little while. They put him in a little box, but he has like a knife boot that cuts him free, and then uses a utility
Yeah.
belt, like kind of like a, I don't know, C4 ish type, but not like explosive, like that
Yeah.
pops a hole out he can get in. Like that's one thing about his height too, is that he was able to climb over fences and get through little spots that most normal people couldn't, and
Yeah.
infiltrate through little holes that people couldn't get through and shit like that. He used that to his advantage a bunch.
Definitely.
Um, oh, there was also, I don't know, a police reporter that wanted to help him at one point. And it was so weird too. Like, like after all that, she says, "And I just don't do crime reporting." And he's like, "You have pornos too?" They like talk about him, taking porno vids or something as well.
That was random. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The movie definitely has a sense of humor. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess it is like a spoof. Yeah. Or something.
Yeah. One of the sex scene, the dialogue was funny. It was like, he was just like, "Shall we get it on?" Like,
Shall we get it on? Yeah.
yeah. And then she says, "Bare your body." And then like they shows him just getting into the bed and then cut. It's like,
Yeah.
um, oh, there's some sword fighting too when he's infiltrating one of the bases. It's pretty
That's right.
neat,
There's a sword fighting scene.
which is just hilarious because they don't even like try to aim at him. They just do like horizontal swings that are like a foot above his head.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty lame actually. You know, because you would
Yeah.
think that the characters would actually try to aim low. Like, I don't know. There were a lot. I mean, the thing that was weird about this movie was that the characters like did a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. Like when they kept on ganging up on him, like oftentimes he was hiding like literally right there, like right. I mean, he was wearing like a white suit a lot of the time too, which made him stick out even more. Like it's like
Yeah.
it was just kind of strange that like maybe these people are just really dumb, you know?
I think that I don't, and they're real slow too, because like
Yeah.
they didn't have like stormtrooper aim. They didn't get shots off. He would just pop them before they even like could get a shot off, like every single time.
Yeah.
For every single like gunfight, he would just be the first pull, and just like there's like very little gunfights except for him shooting people before they shot a bullet.
Yeah. Yeah. You know. And then occasionally we'd see the aftermath of those like gunfights too. Like, yeah. Oh,
Mm,
and you know, I gotta love how I gotta love how when they're taking pictures of that one dead body, there's like a big crowd of people oohing and awing as if they're taking pictures of like a modeling shoot. Ooh, oh, and it's like literally like a room full of corpses.
yeah. Um. He's, I don't know, he's in another base sliding around. Like there was one
Yeah.
base where he slid around like the whole time, just blow darting and shooting people. And he gets
Yeah.
this brief. I thought he was in the. It wasn't the main one, but I guess he gets this briefcase of info where he takes back to the main guy and he gives him his final gadget, which is a jetpack,
Yeah.
which just looked like two fire extinguishers strapped onto his back.
Yeah. Agreed. Didn't look super convincing, you know.
No, but um and that's how he gets to the main bad guy base. I don't know, it was some island.
Yeah.
The jetpack flying was goofy as hell.
Yeah. That was really funny looking.
Uh, and he does land on the island and calls for backup as well, which, you
Mhm.
know, it ensues with a lot of boring gunfights where, again, the bad guys don't shoot at all, but the good guys get all the first shots off and
Yeah.
murder everyone.
At a certain point, I started to wonder, like,
Do
is
the bad
this
guys
like,
have bullets in their guns?
well, there was that, and then like I started thinking, like, okay, like you know that scene in Hot Shots Part Two where Charlie Sheen is running around shooting people, and it's just like random people, and then like the number body count just starts going up for no reason, even when he's not shooting anyone. Like it started because like I swear, like most of the people getting shot have like literal circular targets on their bodies. Like
Yeah,
you
like
couldn't
their
be wearing a
outfit or
worse
whatever.
yeah, like you couldn't be wearing a worse outfit if you're trying to shoot someone. You're wearing something that literally makes you look like a target, you know? And so many of the people getting shot in this movie are wearing those, and it just kind of made me wonder if it was done like to as a joke, you know? Like,
That one was long too. It was a long
yeah.
one. Them going through the main base, just shooting people down without any trouble.
Yeah, they shot dozens of people in this movie. Oh, and there's a twist ending too
The
when you find out
twist
who
ending.
Mr.
The
Giant
twist
is.
ending is here. Yep, he finally, because throughout the movie, there's like nobody's never met Mr. Giant, and then
Mhm.
it turns out it's another little person. Once our double O finally meets him, it's another
Yeah,
little person. So that it ends with a little person fight.
yeah. Which wasn't as cool as I was hoping it would be,
No,
you know,
of
like
course not.
because like they start getting into it, and then he just turns around. The Wing Wang character, he just turns around and shoots him, and then walks away, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like, all right, I guess that's good. I mean, at least they duked it out a little bit, but um,
And he that looked like Wang Wang is real short, 2'9", and that guy, the other one was at least like a head taller than him too. So, but still
exactly.
a little person.
Well, like it got me thinking about that scene where in Game of Death where Bruce Lee has to fend off against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the height difference on them. Like you know, obviously these are two little people, but there's still a height difference between the two of them. So seeing two people with a height difference, you know, fight it out, it's just that always makes for an interesting setup, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of who they are or what they are. You know, so I was getting kind of those vibes a little bit, or those potential vibes, you know. So
Yep.
yeah,
So
but instead he pulls a Chris Tucker in Rushmore, or in what was that movie, Rush Hour, where he shoots the bad guy.
yeah, yeah, that was good.
Wipe yourself off, man. You's dead.
So he rescues the doc and Irma. Um, they have another 5-10 minute gun and run scene where they're making it out.
Mm-hmm.
Irma saves him from being blindsided, but as they're like thumbs upping and yay, thank you, she gets shot down by someone.
Yeah, which I was happy about. I thought that was a good twist. It's like, you know, it's like you got to have something tragic happen. Like not
Yeah,
everything has to go. He's a spy. Spies live tragic lives.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know.
And yeah, they fly away, I think, right? Or get away at least. Him and the doctor,
Yeah.
doctor, scientist guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm glad the movie ended that way. That I liked that ending. That um it was like the ending of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, except not as tragic as that, because that ends like with his wife getting gunned down right after they have their wedding, you know. But I like movies where the hero doesn't end up getting the girl in the end, you know. Like I don't know, just makes me happy to see for some reason. So
Yeah, something different.
yeah.
I don't know. Anything else? Let's see. Not really. Went over most of it, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much just like a what you'd expect from a spy spoof, I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. I just say I loved him sliding around on the floor shooting people too. I just thought
Yeah,
that was so funny.
yeah, he was good. He was really good.
Yeah, he had some
You know?
good little physical stunts he did.
Yeah, yeah. I I would say this movie, as far as like these kinds of spy movies go, like, I mean, obviously this one wasn't like super well done or anything, but this one had a lot of. I thought this was pretty entertaining overall.
Yeah,
Like, even like putting the humor aside, I don't know. It never really got boring for me, really. I mean, I kind of got bored of them introducing the same gimmick again and again, but
yeah.
it's like, oh, little person's gonna evade all these bigger people in a clever way, but I still enjoyed what they did with it for the most part. So.
Yeah. Good little spoof. That's been, I give it like a, I don't know, 3, I guess. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I'm like probably like between a 2 and a 3. Yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot too. I would also watch this one again, I think. So
Yeah, I think it's a good one for a little party movie too.
yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 2.5. Like you were saying, I think the gimmicks kind of got old after a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
definitely
like
repetitive.
yeah, they were funny at first, but then it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'd never heard of this one before, so
One of the things that made me laugh too is like after some kills and shit, he would just do a little chuckle. He would just hee. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure what that was all about. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I saw it. It's better than Johnny English.
Forgot about those movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. All right. So I guess that pretty much all we have to say about for your height only.
I don't know what that means. It must be some
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
tried to
sure.
look it up, but all I got, like, I just tried to look up y apostrophe UR. All I got was like results for this movie. I couldn't figure out what that word meant.
It's so strange. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
weird.
Maybe it's a typo or something.
I don't think so. It sounds like a word
Yeah.
that would be a foreign word of some sort, but
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
for your height only. Fuck.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, height. Whoops. All right, cool. So I guess now we have to talk about your movie, Zach.
Yeah.
So,
I chose Jesus shows you the way to the highway.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually the title isn't a lie.
Nah.
You
I
know?
was wondering when that would happen, but
Yeah,
it does
Jesus.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus really does show someone the way to a highway.
Yeah.
Uh, so I do have one question before you get started. Was this based on a book? Or
I'm not sure. I
okay.
keep reading people's reviews that they're like, it's very Philip K. Dick,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
don't think it's based on a certain work.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I mean, either way, it almost feels like something that would have been. So
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I lost track of this movie pretty early on.
Yeah.
pretty easy
And,
to lose track of.
I was
oh,
confused.
yeah. And there's no Wikipedia for this one, so
Okay.
um
Well, we could start by saying that it involves virtual reality.
yeah.
Um,
The CIA.
Yeah, specifically the CIA and somebody who I guess is an agent for the CIA, who also I guess you said this is kind of another spy movie. So and the main character also has dwarfism as well, although not as pronounced, I suppose, as the gentleman in the last movie. So this film actually does have a couple things in common with the previous film.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
But it's a completely different kind of movie. It's not from the Philippines. This one's from Estonia. So
Yeah. But I don't think they have an original language version. I think it's all English dubbed, like no
yeah.
matter what.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of the actors spoke in English, so it seemed like it was kind of redubbed for kind of either because they didn't have good recording or because they wanted to make it more comedic. I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's a little hard to tell with this movie, but go on.
it seemed very stylistic, the dubbing.
Yeah, definitely. So, um, so yeah, do you want to try to describe the plot or
Uh, I don't know if I could.
okay, well,
Like
it's
I
it's a
could,
little like Inception, I guess. You know,
yeah,
um, it so basically like the main character, he he's gonna retire. He's an agent who works for like this organization that basically puts him in like these matrix like programs, I guess you could say. Um, that it's like a CIA interface.
yeah.
But he wants to retire. Um,
We're just gotta have that trope in there.
yeah, he wants to retire for a very specific reason, though. Um, it's because he wants to be a pizzeria owner, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like a big pizza guy.
Oh yeah, eats pizza throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
Like critiques other people's pizza.
indeed. And so so basically like that's kind of his dream. So he's kind of on his way to retiring. I think he has this wife who's really into MMA, I think, or kickboxing.
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 Yeah. Yeah, she wants to have a career in that. And so like there's that kind of aspect of it as well. So and she wants him to retire. So I guess you have a little bit of a like there's another movie Stalker that I've talked about before based on like the book Roadside Picnic. Um where the wife wants the main character to get out of some whatever dangerous career path he's on. So this is kind of like that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's my last mission.
oh yeah, that's the thing. He has one last mission, which I guess she sort of catches wind of, so she's pissed at him. So that's like, I guess that's the setup.
It was
So
he was like, yeah, my last he was like, my last day, I'm gonna put in my resignation tomorrow, but then it's like a mission that he can't stop, so she gets pissed at him. Like, I have to let me just tomorrow it'll put in my resignation. Then he comes home and like, no, I can't, I gotta finish this mission, it might take me a little longer. So she's pissed because they're going to, I don't know, another city to look at a home to open her kickboxing academy that they
yeah,
want to put up. So she's
yeah,
kind of pissed at him. There was a funny shower scene too in the beginning with them, where like
yeah,
she's taking a shower and she's like, "Come on in, little fly." She calls him little fly, and he's in
yeah,
there fully clothed, like licking her shins.
yeah,
And then he just has like a back spasm attack because he's like hunchback as well.
yeah, yeah. He kind of that. Yeah, that was pretty funny because it's like supposed to be kind of like a sexy romantic type of thing, and then suddenly he's like, my back.
Yeah, and he's in the shower fully clothed, and not just like regular clothes, like a friggin' jumpsuit, like a like a
Yeah,
janitor looking jumpsuit type thing. It's like, oh, what the fuck?
yeah. Um. So the gag is that this last mission that he has to go on has a little complication. It gets infected by like a virus called the Soviet Union, and I guess so. Like within the
I
computer
think it was
interface.
made by the Soviet Union. I
Oh, it
don't.
was made by the Soviet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the main bad guy is called Lenin. What is the main Lenin?
Stalin.
Stalin. Stalin. Yeah,
Yeah,
the main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they have the interface the when they're inside of the actual interface, the way they move, what is it kind of reminded me of Tron a little bit. It's really herky jerky and
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Stop
it was like
motion with
stop
people.
motion with people. Yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And like they
Yeah.
had paper masks on that like South Park movement for their mouths and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that tripped me out.
It was all like political figures.
Yeah.
Some of them I didn't recognize, but
Yeah. But yeah, he ends up getting snagged. He gets trapped basically in the computer in the program because of this virus.
yeah,
So
which like puts him right into a coma.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we get like uh like his partner, I don't remember his name, but that he's kind of a shady dude. Because he gets
Yeah.
word from like the commander to let him touch that stuff because he's a dwarf basically. Like he's a dwarf, he's kind of like he's expendable, like let him touch it, and then once he does
Yeah.
he's like ah, and then goes into a coma.
Yeah. Both this movie and the previous movie use the dreaded M word.
Yes, yeah.
So for folks who don't like to hear that word, just might want to think about that when you watch this one. So but yeah, there was that. And then meanwhile there was also the whole he had to also deal with this President Batman.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
So confusing, man. I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
Batfro.
Yeah, Batfro. That was it. Batfro, which I love the scene where he snorts all the cocaine. That was
That was hilarious.
that was
They like
wicked funny.
he runs by a window with like a lady dressed in Robin, and she's like using one of those little binocular things that you do at like the theaters in the olden times.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie kind of ends up sort of going in like a very unusual sort of I did sort of start to kind of lose track of what was going on after about like maybe 30-40 minutes. I was with it until like it started going into the dreamscape stuff, and
Yeah.
then like the screen format kept changing and stuff. You know, but it did seem like it was following kind of like this like a very familiar type of like theme of like paranoia and altered reality that like I've read a lot of like old. I could see why people were comparing this to like a Philip K. Dick story, because it reminds me of something that like he would write almost, because a lot of his short stories kind of remind me of this, of just like a simple concept just expanding into this bizarre sort of course. I mean, he was on a lot of drugs and stuff when he was writing a lot of these things, so it's the type of thing where like the logic doesn't quite hold up the more
Yeah.
you sort of think about it.
Yeah. I thought being high while watching this one was a good idea. No, just made it more confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the type of film where if you aren't paying close attention, it's very easy to lose track of what's going on. Like it's not the type of film where you can kind of have it on in the background. You really do have to sort of be paying attention to, because like not only do you have the main character dealing with his predicament, but you also have like several side characters, and you have the Batfro stuff, and yeah, it gets a little bit really complicated, like especially like toward the end when like he can sort of communicate outside, but it's like through like a tube television or like a tube square box. Like that's the other thing about this world, is that a lot it's like another one of those worlds where a lot of technology hasn't been manufactured since like the 50s or the 60s or something like that.
Yeah.
And yet there's still like a lot of like, I guess, modern technology sort of blended in, but it's just weird though, because it's like it does kind of remind me of like what do you call it, gosh, like what that movie Brazil with Terry Gilliam,
Yeah.
where like just everybody had all this technology, but it was just constantly malfunctioning and just nothing was working right. This movie sort of had that kind of vibe too, except things were kind of working right. I mean, as far other than like the whole virus thing, I mean,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
ending was kind of sad. Like, kind of had like a downbeat ending too. Yeah, like it kind of. What was another movie this reminded me of? I guess if you want to talk Philip K. Dick, that movie A Scanner Darkly. Did you guys ever see that one?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, this one kind of reminded me of that as well a little bit, like because that one was really hard to follow too. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. What do you like? Do you guys have anything? Any thoughts?
So I was confused too. Like it did get confusing when he got stuck in the game because like he walked in with a mask on. People were looking at him, but they didn't have masks on, and it stopped doing this. Like for parts of it, it did. When they were in the game, it stopped doing the stop motion thing when it was basically revolving around the what was his name in the movie, Gorgum Gigantum or
Yeah. What
Gigano.
Yeah.
Gigano. So like that was a little confusing. He was stuck in there doing random shit. Um Trying to get out. He was supposed like and he got captured with these two dudes that said, "Oh, you're the savior." They were saying he's the savior of whatever, like calling him a prophet of some sort.
yeah.
And there was also that side story of his partner being a sleazeball. Like early on, when he like was talking with one of the Soviet dude, or Len Stalin.
Yeah.
He like showed him that he had like video evidence of him doing the commander's wife, and then later on it showed fuck Gigano. It showed him the same video but with his wife. So like he was having an affair with Gigano's wife or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was that little subplot, and then
Yeah. It was kind of like there was a little bit of a lot of like outside interference thing where kind of like once he was in, it was almost like uh his whole like aspect, his whole perspective on reality itself kind of changed. It's almost
Yeah.
like the virtual world was sort of more his domain by that point.
yeah. And then there was like stuff with the CIA that they were being tricked by the Stalin guy.
Yeah.
Like you would see him from the back, he would have a bunch of different masks, and he would put on like the president mask to say that, giving the CIA director orders to no, don't bomb this place, even though we probably need to, or
Yeah.
yeah, dispose of Gagano's body. And he was like, no, he's not dead yet. We shouldn't do that until he's dead. And he's like, do it.
Yeah.
And it was funny too. Like it turns out that fucking the main bad guy Stalin was like a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I actually did like a lot of the comedy in this movie.
Yeah.
Uh I I feel like they definitely were trying to kind of like poke fun a little bit too at the 80s aesthetic. Like how like a lot of like Cold War themed sort of stories were kind of and then even like with movies and stuff too, like with stuff like Red Dawn, which were just like a lot of movies about like going to war with Russia and all this stuff. And so like I thought that the film was sort of poking fun at that a little bit,
Oh
just
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of in a
definitely.
lot of those scenes. So so because they kind of played all that up a lot in the virtual reality scenes. So
Yeah.
it's almost the type of movie where like experiencing it is better really than talking about it, because like when you talk about it, like it's hard to sort of summarize exactly what what it is. It can't really be pigeonholed into anything, because I mean it's funny, but it's not really a comedy, and like you could argue that it's science fiction, but it doesn't really have a science fiction aesthetic at all. It's very much like you said, like a lot of stop motion is used. There's not really any sort of technological sort of anything. And I think I've talked about the movie Existence on this show before, like the David Cronenberg film. That film reminds me a lot of this one. I like, I don't know, I like when films can sort of kind of think outside of the box when it comes to these kinds of concepts a little bit. So
Yeah.
I feel like this film drew probably a little too much attention to the sort of medium that it was utilizing this story with. I feel like it kind of, like, the screen format changes and the odd visual aesthetic and stuff like that kind of drew a lot of attention to itself, and sometimes like it drew so much attention to itself that it was hard to it was, I mean, that's kind of what made it really easy to lose track of what was going on,
Oh yeah.
like, because I like get so caught up with this image of like Batfro and yeah. But what was that?
I was just gonna say it's like too chaotic at points to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of tell they have like a lot of story they're trying to cover, but they only have. I mean, this movie's only like 80 minutes or so. So there are times where it feels like they're trying to kind of speed through things a lot. I think there's even like some fast motion stuff in it as well, if I remember correctly.
There was at least one with like the stripper. It was like a commander stripper.
Yeah,
In that. That was funny, and she ends up saving him too, just like random, because he gets stuck in a TV eventually after. Well, I mean, there's that. Okay, so it does get real fast near the end too, when the actual Jesus character was introduced.
Oh yeah.
And he was a fucking fly monster thing, just shooting people, and his partner came to save him and stuff, but it ends up like he was just like a fly suit, and then like the Jesus character recognized him, and he said, "Oh yeah, and he explained that the whole ending, which is basically, yeah, we're actually in this MIT project and he's like, Massachusetts, what's that? and,
Yeah.
and so he's like, yeah, just here's some that substance stuff that got him stuck or whatever was actually like the antidote to get him out as well.
Yeah.
There's that whole subplot too.
Yeah, so
yeah, isn't that why they went in the first place too? Had something to do with that goo?
which part to go into the
Well, when they went in, didn't it have to do with the goo itself? Like, weren't they like they went in to like investigate it or something?
yeah, that was, and then that's what made him go into the coma,
Yeah.
which I
Okay.
think got him stuck in the game, and then
Oh, okay.
and then the goo, like that guy was like preaching about being. He was like, I thought I was Jesus, and turns out no, I'm this guy named Roy in Massachusetts that signed up for this science project.
Yeah.
And then like he's kind of like he's eventually like the Gilgamesh or Google guy, whatever the fuck his name is, jargon.
Yeah.
He gets stuck in a TV too, which is weird as fuck. Gets chucked off a building, and that stripper commander saves him.
Yeah.
And they bring him into like it's like a cult looking like thing, like with the Jesus guy, and they take the goo, and the Batman's, I don't know, there too, trying to stop him. Like, it's just, I don't know why or what, but like the goo gets him out and shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it was funny because like said when they, after that like whole bust, because it was like a people taking the Kool-Aid kind of thing. He was like shoving the goo into people, and he just kind of smeared it on the TV, and then
Yeah. There was that one kid who's like, "No, I don't want any."
yeah. And then it was they were getting raided by the police, and then like the guy took the goo but gets shot. Jesus took the goo, gets shot immediately, but he's like, damn, we missed him. And then one of the guys was like, we know his real identity. He was like, Chris Pinero. Who the hell is Chris Pinero? What the hell? Like, okay, you're just throwing more names that we have to try and figure out, but
Yeah.
it ends up just like, yeah, after he gets goo rubbed on his computer, he wakes up in the MIT bedroom
Yeah.
and like the commander of the CIA or whatever was just one of the doctors in the MIT hospital research facility.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, and like Jesus was like, "Oh, I've been up like 20 minutes. Yeah, wasn't that fun?" And
Right.
they get paid, and and throughout the movie there was like or at least one point there was a dream sequence with Gilgorgor
Yeah.
Gagano that he owned a pizzeria, like a mobile pizzeria on a beach, which turned
Yeah.
out to be his actual real life with his wife. That's actually where they were. And it's like the last few minutes of the movie was like, oh, we're late to open our shop. But we don't know how to get to the highway. Gee, like Roy, who was playing Jesus, can you show us how to get to the highway? He was like, yeah, I'm going that way myself. Just follow me. So
Yeah. Hence the title.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie fucked with my head. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Oh
was like
yeah.
really weird.
Oh yeah. It was
I liked it. I would definitely watch it again, but it was like really bizarre.
Oh yeah. Very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
Definitely need a rewatch.
Yeah.
Pay a little bit more attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like. I think it is probably the type of movie where you do kind of have to watch it at least a couple times, sort of to get everything they're trying to encompass. Just because like it does get like, I mean, it gets so like insane and confusing after a while. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I liked it though. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know. It's definitely like of the three films, it's probably the one that's kind of like stuck with me the most of the three films we watched for this episode. So
Definitely. And it was the only one that kept my attention full. Like I wasn't like peeking at my phone or anything through it. I was like, what am I watching here?
yeah,
Paid attention for the whole runtime.
yeah, yeah. It's a film that really it holds your attention. Like it really begs for it. It is the type of film where just turn off your phones, turn off your lights, just draw the curtains, make sure your speakers are optimized properly, and just like take a good 82 minutes. I mean, if somebody calls you like on your house phone, say, fuck you, I'm busy, I'm watching Jesus showing me to the highway. It's that type of movie. You're either all in or get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. What would you guys rate it?
I gave it a 2.5 just because I was so confused, but
Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 3 on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think I would give it a 3 as well. I enjoyed it very much.
I think I'd go 3.5 even, just because it was fascinating, even though it was confusing. But it was like, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
And I did
Yeah.
like I thought it was really creative in parts with like the stop motion
Oh, yeah.
the human stop motion stuff. And
Yeah, I think those were my favorite parts, were the stop motion sequences. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
never seen
something.
that though.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, it was just a cool way to do that virtual reality like thing,
Yeah.
and it looked distinct. I mean, if like I said, like the way their mouths moved really like it really freaked me out. But yeah, it was a good movie. It was really cool. So, and yeah, it was yet another one I hadn't heard of. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, good choice. So I guess that concludes the anything goes. I mean, unless do either of you have anything else you want to say about any of these movies?
I think so.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, these were unusual, but yeah, I like them. So
Yeah.
so
Good.
yeah, good picks. I don't know. Like now, I wonder like what'll happen if we get anything goes again. Yeah. Like, are we gonna find movies that are even weirder than these three? I mean,
Oh, I could probably find some shit.
yeah, yeah. All right. So, uh, we're gonna be talking about animals next. That's gonna be the next theme for our next episode. So, um, I know I did mention at one point, I think in our last episode, that we are going to talk about Super Mario Brothers, the movie, but
All right. Yeah.
we're having a bit of a mannequin situation here. That's what I'm going to call it from now on, a mannequin situation where it seems to have been stricken from streaming. So
Yeah.
so until we see the light, the Super Mario episode will be postponed.
Is it even like buyable on DVD anywhere or Blu-ray?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'd probably be the only way for the foreseeable future, because I think Nintendo is pretty like they're pretty hardcore on striking shit they don't like
Yeah.
out of existence.
Yeah. Well, I still have the VHS tape of it. So if you happen to get a hold of a copy and you happen to get a hold of a copy, then let me know and
I
we
do
shall
have the
do it.
DVD.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay,
All
I
right.
can probably try and find one then. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, let us know. So but yeah, so we're gonna talk about animal movies. So I'm gonna just go ahead and go with my choice first for what I chose for an animal film. It is a literal animals movie, meaning more than one animal, called Long Weekend, from I think 1976 or 1978, or sometime in the 70s, and it's an Australian movie. So
I have a couple if you want to go.
All right. Yeah, because I only have one that I went for is Black Sheep. Not the not what's his face is Chris Farley's. It's a 2006 movie about a killer sheep.
excellent.
I have that one on DVD. I haven't watched it yet.
Nice.
All right. I don't think I've seen it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I have one about snakes or a bear. Which one? Which animal would you prefer?
Oh man, my favorite animal of all time is the snake. So I'm tempted to choose that.
I don't know if you want to see that one then.
Uh-oh.
Um, so that one is Calamity of Snakes. It's a Hong
Oh,
Kong
okay.
movie.
I've heard of that one. All right.
Apparently they like kill a lot of actual snakes in the movie though.
Yeah. I think I can handle it. It's up to you though. I mean, what's the bear one?
Prophecy.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's a mutant bear.
A mutant bear.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, that's tough. All right.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Snake or Nick, can you handle snake killing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right. I think we can go with Calamity of Snakes then. I'm okay with that.
Let's do it then.
All right, cool. Although I am curious about the bear one. Maybe
I'll
maybe
save
we
that
should.
one for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely gonna keep that one in mind. So, all right, cool. So black sheep. Long Weekend, and Calamity of Snakes. Looking forward to it.
Black Sheep 2006.
Oh yeah, 2006. Yeah, don't want to make that mistake. I put on the movie, Chris Farley. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't actually. I'm not sure if I've ever saw that film. Black
It's a good
Sheep
one.
with Chris Farley. Yeah, I
It's a
know I
good
saw
one.
Tommy Boy. But...
Yeah.
Okay.
Both
They're
good.
both- Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm procrastinating. It's time to spin the wheel of death.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, shuffle it a few times. There we go.
All right, let's hope for the best here.
Full moon.
Oh, sweet. All right, cool. I still have plenty of full moon movies that I haven't chosen yet, so.
Oh yeah. That could include Moonbeam too.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, you can throw moon. If you guys are up for some moonbeams, you can toss those on the pile. So.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, there's definitely some full moon movies that I'd like to choose. So this will be good.
They're always interesting. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some good stuff in there.
Yeah. And also my dad has a bunch of like old like screener tapes of like crappy full moon movies and stuff, so
nice.
and a lot of them have David Dakota's name on them, so I was looking through the closet the other day, I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, there you go. Perfect episode then.
Yeah, this might be my chance, so. All right, well, I guess that concludes our episode of Anything Goes. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please, if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. So have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Have a good one.
See ya.